Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, race fans. Thank you for tuning in tonight to the Elite Racing Network. This evening we have the Mark Rebilas Grand National Series and the Numbers by Joe 120 at the World Center of Racing, the virtual Daytona International Speedway. But we're turning left and right tonight. Road course layout being used by these competitors this evening. I'm Zach Evans. I'll be joined in the booth by Chris Wright this evening, Robert Hill Jr., the mute pressing the buttons tonight, and of course Josh Adams working race control this evening as we get ready to use this layout that obviously the road course very famous for the Rolex 24 at Daytona, but using that NASCAR layout that was used for a couple of years with those extra chicanes. Take a quick look at the starting grid before the field rolls away. Tyler Fode qualifying on the pole this evening. Ethan Stanley joining him on the front row. Tate Lytle third, Ethan Burrell fourth, David Tooker fifth, Hunter Smith sixth, Scott Crump seventh, Jared Rexing eighth, Ty McIntosh, Chad Frankenfield rounding out the top 10. Justin Wadsworth and William White lining up on the sixth row tonight. Joe Francis, Seth Rawls, Leighton Norgard, Dave Carpenter, Jesse Racimus, Jay Connor, Gavin Higgins, Michael Hossack. Your top 20, Andrew Hardcastle, Carlos Acosta qualifying 22nd, Michael Goodman 23rd, Brian Carrington will roll off 24th, Mark Rebilas 25th, Corey Abbott Nick Indelicato 26th, Corey Abbott 27th, Connor Thompson 28th. A little bit smaller field than we're used to seeing here in the Grand National Series this evening. 34 laps on the docket as you see the field working through the oval, turn 3 and 4, 34 laps, 3 sets of tires for these competitors. Halfway mark, lap 17. As you'll see the field work its way through the final of those 2 additional chicanes on this NASCAR layout here, and then the pace car will pull off and we will be ready to go here in the Numbers by Joe 120. Tyler Fode, Ethan Stanley leading the field to the green flag. We are underway here at Daytona in the Numbers by Joe 120.
What a jump there for Fode. Way out front, way gone. See how everybody does in turn 1.
Oh, 3 wide there, Burrell. No, that's Lytle. I know names. Getting a little squirrely out of turn number 1, and he's got to lose 2 or 3 spots there. Oh, somebody has gone way off track. That is Corey Abbott.
Oh, we got Jay around down here too.
Yeah, he's around in the horseshoe. Getting back on track now. And there's Carlos Acosta.
17's involved as well. That's 3 cars over there. Looks like they're going to get rolling.
We'll take a look here at the Rebilas replay machine. Connor is already off track there, and it looks like Acosta is going to have it missed. He's got to get in the throttle too hard on exit. That's exactly what's going to happen there. So he's going to spin there and collect the 17 of Carrington. So got another look. Oh, this is a separate. Oh. Okay. Having a little bit of technical difficulty here. As we're trying to get back to our live action here. Ta-da! So as you see, Tyler Fode out front, Ethan Stanley second, Ethan Burrell in third, and then David Tooker fourth, Tate Lytle fifth as they get ready to wrap up the first lap here. Now we're kind of settled in a little bit, Chris. Kind of what do you expect to be the biggest challenge for these guys tonight?
Well, I expect these tight braking corners, especially the one on the front stretch, is very tight. Somebody's going to get in there a little bit too hot. Well, maybe we won't see it here this first round. These guys know they got a halfway flag coming. Get a little break and a reset. But I would guess that when we restart this thing after the middle stage break there, that these guys will be pretty aggressive down into turn one and into the brake zones, and might create a little bit of chaos. And somebody who's, always aggressive, always comes up when we talk about the word aggressive, is Chad Frankenfield. And I'm sure at some point he is going to try to outbrake somebody into a corner and maybe give us a little bit of action, a little bit of something to get excited about.
You see him on the screen in the 15 car now, riding in the 7th position, sizing up Hunter Smith in that 54 car.
Can we just say thank you to Chad, too, bringing this bright red car out tonight so we'll be able to pick him out easy if something does happen?
We need more brightly colored cars in general in the racing world. I'll go out on a limb and say that as we look a little further back here. Michael Goodman. Okay. Oh, right there. That was
22. That's Hardcastle.
Hardcastle looping it, trying to get back onto the oval there.
Or is that Abbott? Which one is that?
No, that's Hardcastle. You got it right. Hardcastle into 22, Leighton Norgard into 12 team cars. And there's Corey Abbott. That's what there's that second additional chicane, or I guess it's the only addition. No, yeah, it's the one additional chicane on the NASCAR layout.
And the shot we had of those guys coming in there when we were looking from the catch fence, that was a great shot. And you see just the challenge of that corner, how it's very deceiving. You feel like you can drive in really deep, but that second half of that chicane is super tight and super slow.
And it's always, let's just be honest, it's always a challenge getting these cars to turn right. These Xfinity Series B-Class stock cars just don't want to turn right. They're not like the next-gen car that has some of the components inspired by sports car racing. This is still your old-school stock car that you're trying to make turn left and right and get it to stop and all of those things. And I think you're going to see a lot. We've already seen it a couple of times, guys, getting that wheel spin on corner exit. You're going to see some guys wheel hop, all those things that just are part of trying to get these cars to turn at low speed.
Yeah, you actually got to drive these cars, not like the cars you'll see on Wednesday in the Cup Series there for the Belly Up. Sports Cup Series is those next-gen cars. They're kind of designed for road course cars. Those are GT cars that race on an oval sometimes, and this is way more fun, I'll tell you. This takes way more car control, way more skill than what the next-gen stuff does.
Tyler Fode still leading the way as we work the third lap of this event. Ethan Stanley staying in touch. No surprise there. Two of the better guys when it comes to road course racing here in Elite.
You think Stanley's just letting him lead, making him feel good about himself, a little confidence boost?
No, but I could see where maybe he's trying to manage the tires a little bit more, perhaps. But I don't know. I don't think it's a charitable effort.
And I'm not trying to say that Fode is a bad driver or bad on road courses, but we all know when it comes to road courses, Ethan Stanley, the only guy that's really in Ethan Stanley's class, in my opinion, at every road course, no matter what, is RC. And RC couldn't be with us tonight. I'm not sure why. Maybe preparing for the hurricane, evacuating, or he could be working. I don't want to say he's running from the hurricane or you know, he is running. We know for sure that he is running from the hurricane. So he is. Yeah, so he is evacuating, or else he'd be out here tonight. So hopefully RC gets everything worked out and he doesn't take too big of a hit. So
that's Connor Thompson. No, that's the tail of the field. He's on the turn one side of the infield. So Connor Thompson having an issue there in the first corner as Mark Rebilas will make his way by.
Theory sponsor right there, just managing the car. He's saving his stuff. Once he opens it up, they ain't gonna have nothing for him.
So now back to the front as we work our way through the field. There's Tate Lytle, who I tried to call about 4 different names on the first lap of the race. Hunter Smith still hanging on to that 5th spot. Chad Frankenfield behind him. You know, it is a sick look for Hunter, and normally him and Ryan Schold, who are teammates there at Little Eagle, have relatively plain cars.
Did you see how hard he hit that?
Boy,
I don't think you want to get that much of the turtle.
No, you don't want that much of the turtle. That really lifted up the car there. I guarantee you that was a pucker moment for Hunter Smith. But yeah, that's a great looking race car. And don't get me wrong, I love the classic look they normally run, but that's really nice with the camo look going on there tonight. I wouldn't mind seeing more of that from them.
Yeah, I think he was trying to get his pilot license over there as high as that thing got when he hit that turtle.
Well, we do have the airport behind the racetrack, so we know where we can get him hooked up at least.
But now we got everything strung out. Not a whole lot of battles, a lot of single file. You know, one guy we haven't talked about too much tonight, Scott Crump. He's having a relatively quiet season. You know, he's sitting here running just inside the top 10. And normally we see Scott as a guy that's battling for wins week in, week out. And this season, it's not been as prevalent as at the front. I guess I would argue probably his biggest moment of the season might have been last week with Chad. You know, we had to document what was going on between him and Chad there at Iowa and whatnot. But I am sure Scott will get it all figured out, and he'll be in victory lane before the end of the season.
Certainly, he's had a couple of races where he was definitely in contention for a win. I mean, even last week in the Cup Series, he was in the mix until the incident with Justin van der Marel.
Yeah, Justin getting that big win there in the Cup Series last week.
Big first-time win for Justin van der Marel in the Cup Series 1 week ago. Big
for Canada, too, right? You know, because I mean, we know those other Canadian drivers aren't going to get the job done.
I've already got a Cup win. Also, good evening, everybody.
So now you're hearing why Robert Hill is on the sideline and you're stuck with me tonight. He sounds great. Healthy as a stone, as he keeps saying. Healthy as a rock. I'm not sure what the health qualifications are of a rock, a stone, a boulder, any derivative thereof, but Robert swears he's in great shape. It does not sound like it. But happy to pick up the slack a little bit, cover for Robert this evening as we bring you through the numbers by Joe 120. Looking in on this battle for the lead, Tyler Fode, Ethan Stanley. Stanley's closed up the gap a little bit, starting to apply a little bit more pressure here. That turn exiting the infield section onto the oval is so tricky, really in any car, because you want to get as much of that exit speed as you can. As there we see, speaking of exit speed, Michael Goodman has unfortunately exited the racing surface, but now he's back, and I'm not sure what's going on with Brian Carrington here. I mean, he's making his way to pit road. I'm guessing he had some kind of incident in the chicane there. But So, getting ready to start lap 7 here. Tyler Fode over in the, while we were looking at those incidents, he opened that gap up to about 3/4 of a second. As we watch these guys, I mean, you can see those turtles, those curbs, how much they toss around these cars as they're trying to make their way through that additional chicane.
Yeah, and I think a good rule of thumbs is curbs. You can hit curbs. If you hit them right, you're not going to upset the car too much. You got to know how you're going to hit them. But turtles, that's not something you want to be hitting. You just want to get right against those turtles, not on top of them, whereas you can get on top of some curbs and use them to help rotate the car.
Yeah, most of these curbs around the racetrack, especially the part that everybody's more familiar with from the sports car world, from the Rolex 24, these, like you see the field working their way around the International Horseshoe there, those little yellow bits, those won't hurt you too bad in these cars, and they can usually help you if they're used the right way. But kind of like what you're saying, Chris, the added turtles in that makeshift chicane exiting the oval turn 4 before you head towards pit entrance, those are a lot more difficult to deal with no matter what kind of car you're racing in. At one point, this area right here had those turtle curbs as well. Those have largely been removed in more recent updates, and I'm sure all the competitors are thankful for that.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see how long it takes to get the new scan out of Daytona, where I believe in the road course section in the backstretch chicane, I believe they took out all the grass, right? And they're just going to use turtles. That'll really change the dynamic of that whole zone back there.
100%. Well, now we have a battle for the lead here. Ethan Stanley to the inside of Tyler Fode. Going into turn number 1. I think Stanley's got to be able to clear him out of the corner. He is a new leader. Ethan Stanley in the 91 Blue Egg machine.
Yeah, he said he was done letting Fode sit out there and lead. Got himself 8 laps, and now Stanley's got to make sure he goes and leads the most. Looks like somebody else who used to be really good at the road courses there in the late 90s driving that Mark Martin throwback, and up until Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin was considered one of the best, if not the best, road course racer in NASCAR.
Won 3 straight at Watkins Glen at one point in the 90s.
Yeah, and I bet they said that when that was over in 94, 95, that'll never be replicated again. And then who would have thought just 5 short years later somebody else would match it and run that a little bit further.
Looking our way further back here, you see Michael Hossack trying to make a move on Dave Carpenter here. Looks like he'll make that stick. Didn't get much fight from David Carpenter.
Well, Dave might have seen him out of the corner of his eye get a little bit sideways there under braking. So
It would have got my attention for sure.
And looky here, we got teammates right here, 3rd and 4th. And 5th. Who's driving that 56 tonight?
Tate Lytle.
So you would have thought we'd have come to a road course where, it's been all Lake Norman, all Pro Edge, all season. We're going to go to a road course. We're going to get something different, right?
Absolutely not.
Great run for Hunter Smith. He's came a long way, and to be able to do this at a road course, I know we talked about him already tonight, but Hunter's doing a great job out here, probably learning a lot from Chad, and that's something really hard to do because I've talked to people who've been over there as a teammate, and Chad doesn't like to work with teammates too awful, too much there, and typically if you ask something, Chad's like, go ahead and figure it out, dude. I can't help you. So maybe he's given Hunter some help, and it's really Hunter's gotten better everywhere, but it's especially shining tonight here at this road course.
I remember I ended up oddly enough, subbing into the booth for one of the road course races last season here with the Grand National Series at Zandvoort. And Hunter Smith had a decent little showing that night as well, and I made the comment during that race. I feel like some of these tracks where you have these really low speed, high braking, low speed turning points really benefit a guy like Hunter Smith, because I've raced with him in the official pavement sprint car series from time to time. And as crazy as that, the cars couldn't be more different. The track couldn't be more different, but being comfortable with
Burrell there on
that was
as you saw.
Huge hit of the curb there for Ethan Burrell, but just being comfortable gradually applying the throttle and managing that horsepower from almost a stop is something those cars teach you, and I feel like it plays into Hunter's favor at some of these road courses.
Yeah, and you see him all over the back of Ethan now. Ethan made that big. Hopefully, he's hoping that he didn't.
It's surprising at times if you get just the wrong kind of damage on the nose or even the back bumper, how it just can completely kill your huge at a place like Daytona.
Yeah, there's straight line speed's pretty big around here, and you gotta this is such a unique track where you're carrying so much speed, but then there's sections of it that are so slow as well. And it's a one of one is the Daytona road course, but a lot of these guys know this course as well, so you don't have that trying to learn a new course. Like sometimes we'll go somewhere way off the wall, and I don't know, like I think we went to Mount Panorama last year or a couple seasons ago, and I don't think 90% of the guys in there racing had seen that racetrack, so at least coming here you know what you're getting.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We are back here, and we're going to take a look at a little bit of a replay from what we missed while we were away. Ethan Stanley having a moment right here, trying to rejoin the oval. Fortunately, keeps it out of those tire barriers. That could have been night ending, but obviously cost him several positions. And then, I don't know if we're going to be able to get this replay or not, but later on he also blew the backstretch chicane. I believe we won't be able to get that replay, but we are back with the live action now, and you can see Stanley on the scoring pylon has fallen to the 6th position here with 24 laps to go.
Yeah, that is not something you want there. He made that one mistake, got real lucky there. If you lose the back of the car like that into a corner and you're able to just kind of get it righted and not hit anything, he could have probably ducked himself out of that hole relatively easy. But then maybe trying a little bit too hard the second half of that lap and missing that front chicane, having to shoot through it, come to a stop. I mean, now he's really put himself behind the 8 ball. Oh, Chad Frankenfield hits one of those turtles we were talking about. He's going to give a spot to Scott Crump.
There you see Scott Crump going by. That'll move Crump up to the 7th position. And Justin Wadsworth has a little bit of a run on Frankenfield as well because of that mistake, as they'll make their way through the front stretch chicane.
I gotta tell you, I like what I'm seeing. It looks like these tires are giving up. Guys are making mistakes, sliding around. Grip's going away. This is has all the makings of a great rest of the race we're going to see here. I think we're probably going to have a pit stop at some point as well.
And it'll be interesting to see how guys approach that pit stop. Hunter Smith up to fourth now. There you see Ethan Stanley already. He's closed back in on Ethan Burrell.
Yeah, and one thing to look at here too, our front 11 are separated by 12.7 seconds. So that's a big gap, and 12.7 is a lot. But at a road course, it's not huge. And then it's nearly another 10 seconds. It's about 8 seconds to 12th place from 11th place. So the gap from 11th to 12th is pretty big when you compare it to the gap just for the front 10.
Right there you see 12th place, William White, with Ty McIntosh behind him in the 05 out of the Shift Esports camp. Shift Esports constantly torturing me, both as a competitor and as a broadcaster. They have largely the same driver lineup across all of the series they compete in, but I swear they never drive the same number from one series to the next.
I can't speak to that because I don't really do anything outside of Elite, so I'm what you would call one-trick pony, I guess.
Well, I mean, even with that, I mean, Nick Indelicato is the 4 car here tonight. On Wednesday nights, he's the 10 car.
Seth's in the same number from last night. That's 25.
Yeah, he's got that going for him.
I'll tell you this, we just saw Ethan pass Ethan out there. We've got a great battle here for about, I think Chad's really starting to give up. You got Wadsworth, and we just talked about him, Seth. Chad trying to drive a defensive line into turn 1, trying to keep Justin back there. Justin's going to send it. I'm going to tell you what, Chad is not one to let people go, and you're seeing it right there. He is trying to race that 6 car. And in doing so, now he's got the 25 all over him, trying to block the 25. Little contact there.
Oh, hang on to it, Chad. No,
back into the side of the sticks. Spinning around. And we could see that coming.
And now, well, there's Ty McIntosh off track.
I mean, when you start trying to be that defensive, that point in the run, you're going to have contact. Seth might have got in there a little bit hard, maybe not expecting Chad to brake right on his nose. I'm going to tell you what, Justin Wadsworth got lucky that was square, because he could have very easily paid a price
100%.
for something that he was not there to have anything to do with.
I mean, he had made the bold but clean move to get around Chad and pick up that spot. And I was getting ready to kind of talk about that. I mean, we've seen it on the Cup side as well. Justin Wadsworth has come a long way in the past year or so. And that's the kind of move I don't think a season and a half ago, Justin Wadsworth would have been comfortable trying that pass, especially with Chad taking the defensive line. But he's definitely gained some confidence with the runs he's had this season and didn't mind sticking it in there, and he made it work.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, that's going to be getting Chad pretty frustrated. But, I mean, you know this as well as I do, Zach. When the car starts going away and you start trying to throw blocks, have defensive, and
cars, but especially the Xfinity car, as soon as you upset the rear tires at all, you kind of just have to, I don't want to say give up, but you have to really be conservative for a few corners and get the tires cooled back down and less aggravated with you before you can really consider putting up a lot of fight. And it's hard because obviously you make a mistake and upset those tires, and the first thing you want to do is make it back up, and that tends to just compound the issue.
yeah, when you start trying to drive harder for something that the car already is telling you it doesn't have, it typically doesn't get better. And now Chad's got to make probably 4 or 5 laps here on a car that has a spin on the tires, and hope to survive.
Right now running in the... Oh, here we go. We've got Michael Hossack and Gavin Higgins as a battle for the 17th position.
Yeah, and I think Gavin was in the middle of some controversy from last night. I got out of there early and my night was over, but I think there was something that happened last night.
Definitely an incident in our 25 caution marathon with the Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series at Martinsville last night. Had a on-track incident with Gerald Campbell that led to some, I believe as the kids say, beef. Ethan Stanley is on pit road.
I believe there was another on-track incident too, right? An on-track incident to another on-track incident?
It started with a wreck, and it turned into a wreck under yellow, and then it turned into Gerald Campbell being asked to leave for the evening.
One of our brethren from up here on the broadcast side of things, and I tell you, sometimes you gotta stand up if you think you gotta stand up, I guess, and we'll see how it all plays out and what happens. But we're looking at Ethan Stanley here getting in the pit road pretty early. That second run's going to have to be longer than this first run for Ethan. And this is a very tricky pit road to leave. He's doing a great job.
The hardest part is that first corner, especially on cold tires. You want to just make up as much time as you can, but you really have to tiptoe through that left-hander as you're exiting the pits. It's much sharper than the racing part because obviously you're inside of that.
Yeah, and if you miss it just a little bit, it kind of works against you. You fall into the ditch there where the wall is.
Or worse, hit the wall and really ruin your night. But Ethan Stanley going for that undercut. We'll see how it works out for him.
And Tooker, look at that. You're seeing the lap graphic there. Getting faster and faster and faster over Tyler Fode.
Yeah, Tooker's making up a ton of time here. Probably has done a little bit better job managing the tires over the course of this first run. He's had to make up some time, obviously, but right now he's closed the gap to about 1 1/4 seconds on Tyler Fode. $19 laps to go now, and the numbers by Joe 120.
Oh, if Joe's going to sponsor the race, what's Joe doing right now? Where's he running?
Let's see here. It looks like old Joe Francis is running in the 15th spot, trying to figure out how to get around Ty McIntosh.
Yeah, heading for that last chicane. Oh, a little bit of... There's Ethan Stanley already pitted, and Ethan is using up every bit of those turtles. Now we got Ty pitting.
There you see McIntosh on pit road. Course numbers by Joe. If you would like some decoration, he specializes in designing, I guess you would call it decor, wall art in the personal logos, that kind of thing. They look great. He does great work with that, so be sure to check him out on the social media. Swing by his shop and put in your order.
And we got a battle for the lead now, boys. Tooker is there. He got there through some lap traffic. He was already faster. They still got series sponsor. Mark going to pull up and let him have it. Maybe if you order some of those numbers by Joe, you can call Mark to come and take some pictures of that wall for you.
Take some pictures. Maybe he's leaning out the driver's side window and taking pictures of that battle for the lead as it goes by. If anybody could do it, it would be him. Oh boy.
Pretty hot there, but it's going to get it stopped. It's going to get it turned. And the race is on right here. I believe we got Scott Crumple in pit road, but this battle's getting really good. I gotta think Fode's probably going to come this time. Tooker probably comes with him. I think if you're Fode, you want to pit before you lose the lead, and if you're Tooker, you don't want to give Fode an extra lap on the tires right here. So if I had to guess, we'll see both these guys peel off here the next time.
Yeah, taking a quick look at some of the lap times, Ethan Stanley just logged his fastest lap of the race at a 1:55.8, whereas Fode's last lap was a 1:59.1. So that's a huge fall-off number you're looking at. And
Ethan's doing that in traffic. Ethan Stanley is in a ton of traffic right now. I mean, just having to navigate all kinds of traffic is Ethan Stanley.
Oh, and speaking of that traffic, there you go. He kind of has a swing wide there in the horseshoe because Jesse Racimus is all kinds of out of shape, but he's able to get around safely.
And here we go. Right there's... Oh, William White almost wrecks in front of him. Has to check up there. I know we went back to this battle for the lead, but Stanley just had to dodge a little bit of something. And when you got the newer tires, you want to be able to maximize that. I think, like I said, I'm going to stand by it. I think both these guys are going to pit right here.
We'll see if that is the case as they make their way out of the chicane. Will they bear left or will they stay on the racing surface? Fode stays out, Tooker comes in. That's almost the opposite of what I would have expected, but I'm kind of like you. I feel like you can't afford to let Ethan Stanley get too much more of this undercut.
I can't believe Fode didn't come right there. Here's Tate on pit road as well. If I was a betting man, I'd bet that Tate will probably be racing with Tyler Fode on the other side of pit stops now. That's how much time's going to be made there by one lap newer. If it is one lap newer, Fode could wait a couple more laps to pit. Ethan Stanley's coming down the front stretch. He's at the line now. Here comes Tooker out of pit road. If I'm David Tooker, I'm a fan of what I'm seeing.
And if he's able to get the run out of the pits, there goes Ethan Stanley. Can he slot in front of William White and Jesse Racimus? I think he will.
This pit cycle is David Tooker won the pit cycle. To be able to have 3 lap newer tires and be right on the back bumper of Ethan Stanley.
That has worked out pretty well for him in the 19 car, to say the least.
Yeah, and you know Fode hasn't pitted yet. And that's a great point right there. I'm not sure if you guys can hear Robert Hilton or not right now. But one thing that did happen right there by staying out that lap, Fode did get the halfway point.
Oh, hang on to it, Tooker. A little bit of a slide there from the 19 car. Sorry to jump over you there, Chris.
All good.
Tyler Fode make his way through the chicane. Will he pit from the lead this time, or will he stay out one more lap?
Oh, you do not want to have to follow somebody to pit road, and he is going to have to follow Cart. No, he does not have to follow.
No, he got around him. Yeah, good work there by Fode to get around Carlos Acosta before making his way down to the pit road speed limit. There we see Hunter Smith also coming down pit road. So will Ethan Burrell. They were second and third.
I want to tell you what's working out right now for Fode. Chad Frankenfield is racing these guys on newer tires, so that's gonna be a help to Fode right here. We'll see how he blends off right here.
Jared Rexing has not pitted. He inherits the lead in that number 10 Nesquik machine.
Fode will blend behind all these guys, including Chad, but he will be right there.
And you can see the gap he'll be trying to make up with those fresher tires there. It's he's about 2 seconds, give or take, behind Tooker.
I think it worked out better than what he could have hoped. I think being this close, the fact that they got to Chad and Chad didn't make it easy for him. He just needs his teammate Ethan Stanley to be able to hold up Tooker for a couple laps until he can get there.
And he also needs to get around Chad without having any kind of incident.
Oh, here comes Tooker looking underneath Stanley.
Side by side, getting back onto the banking here. Oh, a little bit of contact.
That is not going to make either guy very happy.
No, racing hard here with 16 to go. Tooker's got to move out front for now, but Ethan Stanley is right there in the tow as they're going to head towards this backstretch chicane. There you go, on board with Ethan Stanley. And Tooker gets a really good run out of the chicane there.
That was huge for David Tooker right there.
And I think that's where you saw the 3 laps difference in those tires probably paying off a little bit for the driver of the 19 car. Jared Rexing still staying out here. He will remain the leader, but you can see how much ground those fresh tires are making up on him.
Here comes Chad Frankenfield to pit road. William White is also going to come down. I believe we might have lost Zach Evans a little bit right here. I see him lighting up, but I don't hear him. Taking a look here at Ethan Stanley running. They are running all behind Jared Rexing still. Oh, Scott Crump's around over here. Scott Crump just spun out down here. I'm not sure if he had help. Oh, it looks like he was trying to take a pass on Hunter Smith. Taking a look here on the replay.
I think I'm back now.
We've got you.
Excellent. And oh, yep, just in a little hot there for Scott Crump, trying to challenge Hunter Smith for that position.
Nonetheless, not an ideal situation.
Still in the top 10 at the moment for Scott Crump.
Ooh, Tooker gets a lot of that there. Tooker's probably trying to drive away right now. Stanley's doing a great job to stay with him and keep this pressure on.
Yeah, I think he's got a huge run there since he didn't hit those curbs. He's got to go right back for it. Again, not technically the battle for the lead with Jared Rexing still out front, but these guys are going to take over that top spot when Jared Rexing does pit.
And there's Rexing, but that's good for Fody. The longer they can keep doing that, and there you saw it in the background too. Tate Lytle's not too far behind Tyler Fody.
Yeah, Fody's already made up a little bit of ground. Tate Lytle also trying to close in on this battle, and the more they race side by side, like you say, Chris, the more they're going to close in on that gap.
And you see Stanley just getting out of the mirror. He's not trying to make a pass right there. He's just trying to get out of his mirror, force him to just think about it. Just have it run through his mind a little bit. Is he taking a dive right here?
It takes so much concentration to be able to hit your marks while also keeping an eye on a guy in the mirror like that. As we work our way through the field there, you see Seth Rawls is now in the 5th position as we've cycled through these pit stops, and now it's time to see how these varying strategies shake out.
There's a big loser right there is Ethan Burrell. I wonder, did he get a penalty or some kind of issue? He went from running top 4 to well back. Yeah, these guys all lost a lot of track position. There we see Scott Crump. We saw what happened to him. And there's Rexing just off of pit road. What Rexing's hoping for is a yellow.
Yeah, with those fresh tires, it would be certainly great for him to close up that gap. But it's going to be hard to get a yellow, I believe, at this point. Won't say impossible.
Yeah, I think race controls lost the yellow flag tonight.
There you see Chad Frankenfield and Leighton Norgard. That is a battle for the 12th position. Frankenfield will clear Norgard going into the chicane. And Now he'll try to go after the 11th position.
There's Joe. Oh, and there's not a good look there. Not a good look when you drive away and you got a splitter that looks like a piece of crispy bacon.
No, definitely a tough night for Michael Hosek in that 24 car. And there you see these three cars nose to tail battling for the lead. Tooker, Stanley, and Fody. Tate Lytle closing in as well. Braking, getting back towards the oval. Tooker holding on to that top spot for now. Of course,
And there you
Blue
see
Egg.
it. Those three cars, four leaders right there.
There's the Blue Egg. We might as well, while we have a little bit of a quiet moment, I'm going to start this ad read, and then somebody's going to do a 360 somersault into a tire barrier. But Blue Egg Marketing. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand towards victory lane. Don't spin your wheels. Accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big.
And the Blue Egg car is going to give up a spot right here, I think.
Fody's got to try and make it stick on the outside here. Couldn't quite get alongside, but he might get the run on the corner exit with the crossover. Now he's got to show a move to the inside, but fade back in line. Stanley loses it.
Stanley trying to defend. Got himself there in a little bit of trouble.
It's just so hard, particularly, I don't know what it is about that corner. Is now we see Connor Thompson has gone for a slide there by pit entry. I don't know what it is about that corner leading up to the International Horseshoe, but if you're not on that racing line, it seems like it's really greasy when you're slowing down for that corner. "12 laps to go. We're going to take a quick ad break here, and we'll be back for the finish here at Daytona."
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. The track that launched the legendary careers of Harvick, Busch, Keselowski, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr. is now ready to write that next chapter. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers. And in the process, we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. NASCAR Weekend 2025, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs, the Confluence Music Festival, and now 250 miles of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 2 incredible races, 1 challenging track, a 3-day party of epic proportions. Go to www.raceway.com and lock in your weekend racing and camping packages for as little as $20 down.
Back live here at Daytona. The numbers by Joe 120. The Rebilas Photography Grand National Series on the road course here at Daytona. There you're looking at the battle for the lead. David Tooker has it. Tyler Fode wants it. He's about 0.3 of a second back. They've opened up a little bit of a gap on Ethan Stanley. There you see in third, Tate Lytle will be trying to work his way around Stanley here over these final 10 laps or so at the World Center of Speed.
Yeah, and I think Stanley is now having to play a little bit of defense, a little bit more than offense, having to protect against Tate Lytle.
Ethan Stanley, of course, the first of these lead drivers to come on the pit road. Is there we see Corey Abbott. If I'm not, yeah, that right front's not supposed to be bent like that. He has had a pretty hard hit, and it's pretty.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at it from the back, and you can see the Goodyear off the front tire, it's bent somewhere.
Yeah. The left hand is at about the 2 o'clock position on the animated steering wheel. That is not good news for Corey Abbott. 10 to go. Like I was saying, Ethan Stanley was the first of these lead guys on the pit road. It allowed him to get the undercut, but of course the price to pay for that is now he's on the oldest tires out of these competitors, and like you were saying, Chris, he's kind of having to get a little defensive and try to hang on as much as he can. He's got to be smart about it because there's still a pretty significant gap from fourth back to fifth, right? The best case scenario, you lose this spot to Tate Lytle or you hang on to third, whichever. It's still a top 5 finish at the end of the day. You don't want to overcompensate and put yourself in a really big hole here.
Yeah, and I have to think that if we got the chance to talk to Stanley, he's going to tell us this one got away. He had just taken the lead, made that mistake, missed a corner, went down in there 3 corners later and completely missed a bus stop. So he's going to tell us, hey, I threw that away. That was my race. Going to be pretty frustrated with himself to have to sit there and play defense for third and watch his teammate Tyler Fode race with David Tooker here for the win.
And to your point, those incidents probably kind of forced his hand as far as the strategy go. He kind of had to take the undercut to put himself in this position back up front with these guys, and it has worked to that end. But now he's, like you say, watching Tyler Fode challenge David Tooker for the lead here. Fode showed a little bit of nose to the inside of Tooker going into the International Horseshoe, but unfazed, David Tooker pulls away.
And that was a late dive, but that's just showing that driver in front of you, hey, I'll dive from here. Which makes it even more interesting when you pull out a line now. When he shows the nose, like we talked about earlier, a lot of times you're not trying to take the spot, you're just trying to make him think for just a second, what if he is? And now that he got that far up there, Tooker's even got to think about it more, saying, oh, is he, is he? He has once. He might do it again.
And the other thing that can happen too, and I'm not say that is or isn't the case with Tyler Fode right now. I'm not nearly smart enough when it comes to road course racing to execute or plot out these kind of things. But you sometimes see, you show a move, you show a move, you show a move. You never have the intention of actually making that move. If anything, what you actually want to do might be something the complete opposite. Maybe you're trying to get him to get defensive going into that corner so you can try a crossover on corner exit or something like that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like you show him this, if you show him the same thing 5 times and then he protects against it the 6th time and you're like, oh, I got exactly what I wanted. Now I can go to the other side.
Going to be 8 laps to go this time. David Tooker, Tyler Fode, riding on board with Tyler Fode here into Lake Norman Motorsports Machine as they cross under the start-finish line.
Yeah, in this battle, them racing right now, neither one of these guys are making great laps because they're racing each other. They're worried about each other. That's brought Stanley right back up into this fight, and that's going to bring Tate Lytle. There's Stanley.
There is Stanley right on the deck lid. He's got to have a move to the inside here. Is he got to make it stick?
That's late. It's a little late on there. He's going to send it.
Wow. What a move on those older tires from Ethan Stanley. Maybe he was playing possum a little bit, saving those tires for a late surge up to the second spot. We'll see if he has anything for David Tooker now.
He's going to have to get there first. That that pass cost him about 2 or 3 car lengths. So he has to get back to him now. And Fody should be in the best spot of all these guys. He's got the freshest tires.
And now, not only did he lose the spot, but he's got Tate Lytle all over him as well.
Yeah, and those two made a little bit of contact at Sonoma there in the Truck Series a couple weeks back. So a little bit of a history there.
I unfortunately have front row seat when that unfolded at Sonoma. They had just lapped me when they made contact battling for position. So I had to play dodge car a little bit when that unfolded.
That's not ideal.
I didn't. It wasn't a great time, especially because literally, so it happened in the S's, and down there in turn 7, I'm like, I'm gonna go way wide here and let all 3 of these front running trucks by because they were all within a second of each other, kind of like we've seen a lot tonight. And then Fody and Lytle came together right in front of me. And I was like, I hate I did that. Now I could have been in front of this instead.
Yeah, but that's part of it sometimes, you know?
It really is. It really is.
Two guys might not expect to make contact, and then they make contact, and you're like,
There's a real easy solution to my problem, and it's get good. But I haven't figured out how to get good yet, so.
They lap up to 7th place at road courses, so I don't.
That's fair. I think 11 cars finished on the lead lap in that one. About 2, or was that this past Sunday? No, that was.
I think it was a week ago yesterday, right?
Yeah, a week ago yesterday, because last night was Martinsville. That's right. Yes. So 8 days ago. Yes.
Last night was terrible.
25 cautions, 26 cautions, whatever it was. Not the finest hour. The Sonoma race, much more enjoyable for fans and drivers alike. This one's shaping up to be pretty good too, with 7 laps to go.
Yeah, we got a great battle for the lead, a great battle for third. I really didn't think Ethan Stanley had anything left to go and attack here, and we got, or I kind of had already wrote him off, He's talking about the one that got away, this and that. Maybe he heard me and he said, I'm going to show you about something that gets away.
Heading down towards the backstretch chicane. And Ethan Stanley is there. Boy, they get so close to where that turtle is exiting that chicane.
We've seen Tooker do that a few different times tonight, hit that turtle on the outside of the chicane there. And all it's going to take, Stanley knows it, is him hit it one time with him right there, and boom, he's going to pounce. And Fody's probably sitting there gearing up, trying to make a run. Got himself a little bit of separation from Tate.
Down into turn number 1. Stanley, again, we're in that spot where Stanley's got to show a lot of different looks here, try to get Tooker to make a mistake, but we haven't really seen too many of those from David Tooker so far tonight.
Hey, what? He's all over him. Breathing on the back of him. One guy we haven't heard from tonight and who is up here with us. It's been a pretty boring night for this guy. Josh Adams, what do you think about the racing we're seeing so far, and how do you think it's going to finish out?
It's been a pretty good race up front. Road courses get spread out. They're pretty much snooze fest, so hopefully these guys are able to give us something good to watch here at the end.
Well, I definitely think up front we're going to see some of that. I mean, David Tooker, Ethan Stanley, their battle for the lead shaping up with 6 laps to go here. They've opened up a little bit of a gap on Tyler Fody and Tate Lytle, but we've seen if these top 2 guys start racing, how quickly that can allow those second 2 guys to close back in.
Yeah, and we're seeing it right here. Tooker just trying to hit his marks. Stanley trying to make him make a mistake.
Tooker got the run out of the chicane that time. Opening up a little bit of a gap. Now they're going to slow down for this second chicane as they make their way out of NASCAR 4. And it'll be 5 laps to go this time at the start-finish line. Ethan Stanley closing in on David Tooker under braking here in turn 1. This is where I feel like Stanley has the best shot, right? He seems to make up a lot of ground there in the hard braking area of turn number 1. He's got to look to the outside of David Tooker here going into the International Horseshoe. Can he make it stick? Can he keep it from going off into the grass?
I think that corner wasn't as good as he wanted it to be, but what allowed him to get there at all like that was the fact that Tooker really shallowed up his entry and protected against a dive, and that allowed him to get there. Oh, contact between these two.
Fody sliding through the grass. He's got to gather it back up, and they're going to carry on, but Fody's going to lose a lot of time there.
Wow.
Big move there from Tyler Fody. Ended up locking up, sliding through the grass, but otherwise, he's got to continue on and maintain that 4th position. That could have been a lot worse for both of those guys. Back up front, here we see Ethan Stanley, David Tooker still battling. Tooker leading the way. Again, it looks like Tooker's just a little bit, is that Joe Francis off track? It is Joe Francis off track.
Somebody over there was wanting to buy a sign, I think. Yes, some numbers by Joe were wanting to be bought over there, so he was just checking it out, making sure. Never too busy to make a sale.
Oh, look at the run David Tooker, Ethan Stanley has here. He's got to get to the inside, and he's got to have the lead before they get to the start-finish line. 4 to go, Ethan Stanley to the lead. I don't know if Tooker had a moment there in the chicane, but here he comes. He's got to look to the inside of turn 1. Stanley hanging on to it, side by side. Down into the International Horseshoe. This time Stanley on the inside, Tooker on the outside. They are leaning on each other.
Now advantage Tooker for just the kink.
Tooker's gonna have the inside.
He
Contact!
get to him.
Stanley through the grass, but he's got to get back on track. They're still banging doors as they head into the corner. Now Tooker's got to back out of it, try to cross over. Couldn't quite get the run. Ethan Stanley leading the way, 4 laps to go, but David Tooker is not going away without a fight. And by the way, here comes Tate Lytle.
Thing for David Tooker right here. The last time Stanley got the lead with nobody in front of him, that's when he made a mistake. So this might be the best thing that could happen to David Tooker because, Stanley's liable to get out here and mess up again.
Down towards the bus stop. Ethan Stanley leading the way. David Tooker now in second. Tate Lytle perhaps sensing blood in the water. He's been able to close that gap to about a second here this lap. It'll be 3 laps to go when they get to the line this time. Tooker closing in the chicane. Stanley with a pretty good run out of it, though.
It's 2 laps, man. 2 laps. Or 3 laps, excuse me.
3 laps to go. Ethan Stanley now leading the way. We had all but counted him out at one point. Now here he is back out front. Now can he hang on those older tires? David Tooker, Tate Lytle trying to close back in.
If you would have told me after that round of stops that Tyler Fody would be the guy struggling the most and Ethan Stanley would have been the guy running the best, I would have I might have laughed in your face, but that's exactly how it's played out here. The oldest tires are in first, and the newest tires are in fourth.
We've talked about tonight Ethan Stanley, how good he is at these road courses. This isn't going to be one of those races he wins by 20 seconds like we've seen sometimes in the Cup Series, but I'd argue it might even be more impressive what he's done to put himself in this position tonight.
Yeah, I think this is one of the best drives he's put on. Now we can't put the cart before the horse here, because we saw what happened earlier, and if we tried to write him off and then he proved us wrong, we might give him all the credit now and put him on a pedestal, and he goes in here and messes up. But I think if he can close this off, I think he'll tell us afterwards that he's super proud of the driving performance there, the way that thing ended.
Tooker has closed in a little bit, down to about 6/10. If he can manage that through NASCAR 3 and 4 here, we'll have the one more braking zone before we're back to the start-finish line for 2 laps to go. We'll watch
catching the guys one thing. Passing him's another. So right now, Tooker can't even think about making a pass until he gets back to him. And I mean, Tooker's beating him into the corner, but Stanley's yarding him off the corner. Tooker's got to get within a half a second or so to even think about taking a dive on the last lap in one of these races.
And Stanley is really getting into turn 1 exceptionally well. There you see the gap. Tooker didn't make up much time at all that last lap. He was quicker, but not even a 1/10 of a second. He's got to do a little bit more than that if he wants to close that gap here with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, and I think it's visually, you can see it's gotten bigger right now through this section. Tooker's just really having to drive this thing deep down into the corner.
Here's a battle for the top 5. Hunter Smith, Seth Rawls. Smith into 54, Rawls into 25. Hard under the braking. Rawls has the inside here as he's got to be able to get the drive out of the corner to move into that 5th spot. Hunter Smith hanging tough on the outside, but Seth Rawls is going to get the run out of the corner and be able to clear up in front of Hunter Smith. Back up front, Ethan Stanley leading the way. Tooker has cut that. He made up a lot of ground on the NASCAR section this lap.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what Tooker's doing is trying some different things at the bus stop. And down into the bus stop that time, he made up a ton of time and didn't give it up off. But he was right out against that turtle.
White flag in the air. Ethan Stanley, David Tooker, last lap here at Daytona.
There are lap cars out in front of these guys, not too far. They are liable to get to here on the last lap.
David Tooker leading the way in the 91. Or Ethan Stanley leading the way in the 91. David Tooker behind him. Just a little more than 3 miles away from determining the winner of the Numbers by Joe 120. You know, Ethan Stanley not wanting to make one of those mistakes we've talked about. You see the lap car of Dave Carpenter just up the road. Tooker, huge, he's out of shape. And Tooker is in the grass. Is he going to be able to stay in front of Tate Lytle? Yes, he's back on track. But that's exactly what Ethan Stanley wanted to see.
And see, I don't think Tooker needed to do that. They were coming up on some lap traffic right on the exit of that corner. Tooker did not need to get down in there that deep. He could have just made up time running through there normal because they were having to navigate that lap car on the exit of that corner.
And now in that battle for second, he's going to have to navigate those lap cars of Connor Thompson and Michael Goodman with Tate Lytle right behind him. It looks like Thompson may have given way. But up front, Ethan Stanley now a healthy lead after that miscue. All he's got to do is get it back to the line.
Yeah, and with nobody right on you, you can take your time. You don't need to get in there hard, overslow it, make sure you get through it. No pressure for Stanley.
Final time through to chicane for Ethan Stanley. He'll make his way to the left, to the right, back to the left. Checkered flag in the air. Ethan Stanley going to win the numbers by Joe 120 at Daytona. David Tooker crosses the line second, Tate Lytle third, Tyler Fode fourth. And there's your winner, Ethan Stanley.
Seth Ross, Hunter Smith, great runs tonight. Ethan Burrell coming home 7th. Justin Wadsworth. Crump and Rexing coming through here. That's going to round out our top 10. Chad Frankenfield must have made some more mistakes at some point. His car's got a ton of rear damage at this point in the race.
There's Frankenfield. He will cross the line 11th in the number 15 machine.
And our series sponsors coming through that last chicane now trying to finish 15th. We saw him go over, made some money tonight, sold something to somebody in the infield there.
There is Joe Francis crossing the line in the 15th position. And there's Ethan Stanley completing his cool down lap. Before we hear from our top 3 finishers tonight, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with interviews.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. The track that launched the legendary careers of Harvick, Busch, Keselowski, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr. is now ready to write that next chapter. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers. And in the process, we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. NASCAR Weekend 2025, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs, the Confluence Music Festival, and now 250 miles of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 2 incredible races, 1 challenging track, a 3-day party of epic proportions. Go to www.raceway.com and lock in your weekend racing and camping packages for as little as $20.
back here at Daytona. Time for post-race of the numbers by Joe 120. We'll start with our third place finisher tonight, Tate Lytle. Tate, no shortage of excitement tonight here on the road course. Ultimately, third place finish for you. Walk us through your evening and being up front most of the night, being up in the mix for this this win.
I mean, it was fun. I felt a little unpracticed, just with I only got like a lap of practice and then the lap in qualifying, but it just felt sloppy. I felt plenty fast. Like I felt like I could get when I got through the corners how I needed to. I was faster than I felt like I was the fastest car on the track, but it was just sloppy. I'd gain, a second on them and then I'd give it back in a corner, just getting a little too spicy on the brakes, but it was fun. I was hoping to be kind of a Ryan Blaney there and hopefully let those guys wreck in the final chicane and me come out the other side, but wasn't meant to be. Stanley obviously is very talented on these road courses, and he was able to short pit us and still have a little bit more tires, so that's pretty impressive there. But a solid P3 on a road course, I'll take it anytime I'm up on the podium in a road course. It's a job well done, especially if you're losing to Stanley and Tooker, so I'll take that for me. But yeah, got to shout out my dad and Lo and Jack and Louise if they're still watching, and shout out to Days Gone By, Brent Wentz. He's always on the car, so yeah, I was hoping to get him a win. I never really had any ambition to get the win until about halfway through the race when those guys were right in front of me racing, and just wasn't quite meant to be. But one of these days it'll happen.
Going through, I mean, I hate to bring up the bad Tate. I don't even think it's bad, but I have to point out, especially since I had a front row seat at Sonoma, this is you had another close moment there with Tyler Fody in a braking zone. That had to be a little bit hard in your throat there as he was spinning towards you in the horseshoe.
Yeah, well, I got into him in the corner before that, or maybe the lap before that. I can't really remember, to be honest with you. I dove him in turn 3 trying to have the spot because I knew his tires were hot and that was my chance, and I kind of slid a little bit into him. He was pinching me for good, which I would have been pinching him too, but definitely drove into him, so that was on me. The Sonoma thing, I don't know. That was on both of us because both of us were dumb. Both of us were dumb enough to try and go through the S's too wide. So if it wasn't him, it would have been me. So that one, I don't know. I wasn't paying too much attention to that, but yeah, tonight was. I definitely deserved the bump back. I'm glad it didn't wreck me, and I'm glad it put him far enough behind me to where he couldn't do it again. But yeah, a little road course rivalry. We're both good at it, but not good enough to like actually win races at it, other than in the trucks. So we find each other a lot.
Oh, there you have it. I know you've given a lot of your shout outs already, but anybody else you got to thank before we let you go tonight?
I think I covered them all. I don't know. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but
They'll yell at you. It's fine.
yeah, I'm used to it. It's okay. But yeah, fun racing there. Good points tonight. I got the 2 wins to back me up, but I don't have crap for points. I'm only like 5 in right now because of a couple bad races. So hopefully we can go have another good race at Martinsville, but I'm not gonna really count on that.
It can't go worse than last night at Martinsville, buddy.
Oh, I bet it can.
Well, there you have it. That's Tate Lytle. Congrats on the third place finish, and have a good rest of the evening. We'll see you next time out.
Thanks, guys.
Well, I am standing here with David Tooker. David, talk to us about your race tonight. It looked like there at the end, you were going to be the guy to close it out. We had already written Ethan Stanley off on his older tires, and then all of a sudden he got him cooled down enough and brought the fight right back to you. So what more did you need to be able to make that pass there for the win?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I feel like I gave it 110%. I mean, the only thing I really could have maybe cleaned up was that last chicane coming on the front stretch. I'm used to running the 24-hour here, and any other time we've ran here, we haven't ran that specific chicane. So that definitely threw in some things. There was numerous occasions where I locked up going in there, or even hopped to the right front over the curb, and that just throws your trajectory off for that left back onto the straightaway all off. So it kind of threw a wrench into a lot of things for me personally. I felt comfortable everywhere else, but I think it was just a matter of I felt like my tires were in pretty good shape. I think I just heated them up. I just the pace I was pushing. That was the hardest I pushed all night long was that last run, and I could tell my tires definitely took a hit from it, just because not necessarily percentage wise, but heat cycle wise. I noticed once my tires got to a certain heat point, especially in the rear, a couple slides here and there, it kind of really just hindered the car for the rest of the race. So I mean, what can you expect though? Stanley's a great road course guy, and we and him definitely threw down there midway through the race, so that was a lot of fun. But no, everybody's getting faster on the road courses. It seems like every time we come to them. So overall, it's still very happy with second, but man, we had a couple chances for first.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple chances for first. We saw you, stay really close to Stanley, and I'm sure you were thinking it too. Stanley had taken the lead early in the race and made those couple mistakes. So were you thinking he was going to make a mistake? And what was your mindset there when you took the white and kind of overcooked it down there into the I can't even remember what set of corners it was, but in the infield section there, and kind of lost everything.
Yeah, once he got by me, I knew I was just kind of in the boat of okay, just wait a little bit. Like there's still like even though it's only 2 laps to go, it's about 5 minutes worth of time. So I knew I had tape behind me, so I couldn't wait too long. But I was kind of in a place where I was like, I just got to nurse it these first few couple laps. If I lose a little bit of time, then it is what it is. But I knew going to that last lap, I still had tire, at least a little bit underneath me. Once I got out of the chicanes pretty well with 2 laps to go, I was like, you know what, I still got a chance. So I just at that last lap, I literally drove every corner about a car length harder and to get to him. And I think it was turn 5. I still had a little bit of a wheel in it from the kink, and it locked up the right front. And then I'm just playing games with the gas and brake, trying to get it to not lock up anymore. And by then I'd shifted into first because I was running first there and chattered the rear tires. And like you said, I was just in it for the long haul at that point. And a mistake like that, I shouldn't be making those kinds of mistakes. But the pressure's on, especially with a guy like Stanley. He's going to make you run 110% every lap. So I definitely felt the pressure there, and it was just a common mistake from my end. But we live to tell the tale, and we'll go see if we can win the next one.
Well, I think any mistake you can make and save the car is a learning experience, not really a mistake. And it was the last lap, time to send it. You could, worst case scenario, right? You spin out down there and you finish fourth. That's basically it, right? So it's a chance worth taking.
Yeah, definitely. I that was my chance right there. I mean, that's the only corner you're really going to make a clean bump and run pass, or even just get next to him without wrecking him. And I just tried everything, but I huge shout out to Ethan Burrell and Tate. Those guys were so fast. I was kind of not expecting that. Once I checked the leaderboard after qualifying, I was very impressed with those guys. So just want to make sure I give a shout out to them on their great runs. They didn't go the way they planned, but man, they were really quick right at the end there.
Well, before we let you jump out of here, Tooker, and start putting your focus towards Wednesday, are there any sponsors you want to thank, shout out you want to give?
All of Pro Edge Racing. Unfortunately, I backed out of the lobby a little too soon, but usually I get a good chance to look at all our sponsors. But all of Pro Edge Racing. Weeks wasn't here tonight, but he was in my ear all night long, just trying to keep me in a good headspace and keep me focused. And really appreciate what he was doing for me right there. There was a couple times where he kept me in check of just lock back in. Let's keep going. So huge shout out to him. Like I said, all our Pro Edge guys. Mark Rebilas Photography for sponsoring the main series here, the Great National Series. All our sponsors, Whiplash Visual Cams, or Visor Cams, I can't remember what it is. Blue Egg Marketing, Belly Up, all of you guys up in the broadcast booth, you guys do a great job in here. All of our drivers, our admin, it doesn't really get a light shown on how hard it is to do what you guys do up here, especially Robert. I know he's going back and forth doing a lot of things for us in every series, so his work is definitely not, I guess, appreciated enough. Same with all you guys in here, so really appreciate what you guys are doing up here.
All right, David, thanks for giving us your time tonight, and we look forward to seeing you on the racetrack Wednesday and back out here next Monday.
All righty, boys.
And now it's time to hear from our winner tonight, Ethan Stanley. Ethan, I'm really curious to hear what you have to say about this one, because me and Chris, I think all night long it was Ethan's in a good spot here, Ethan's in a bad spot here, when we had the couple of mistakes there in the first half, and then the undercut got you back out front. You faded back to third, and it's like, oh, well, how's he got to dig himself out of this hole with the older tires? And here you are in victory lane. What was it like for you tonight?
It was a little bit stressful. Just made a couple mistakes at the beginning, gave up a bunch of track position. So I knew I had to undercut to get that little bit of time back, and I knew if I just held my concentration, I could probably save a little bit better than these guys. And seemed to work. It kept the tires below me and made it work.
How tough was it in that second half after the pit stop when you are doing that tire management and you do lose those couple of spots, fall back to second, fall back to third, knowing you want to save those tires for the end of the race, but you've also got to get back around those guys as well?
Well, just a lot of patience. Knew if I hung back, just stayed in the draft a little bit, I could still save while keeping a decent distance. And after about 5 to 6 laps into that run, I felt like I had a chance.
You know, that's an interesting thing you mentioned there. I guess Daytona's a little bit unique in that sense that there is a ton of drafting that happens for a road course race here. How much is that a factor as far as just over, especially you mentioned how important it was to you at the end of the race, but even just over the course of the evening, how helpful was it to be the second guy in line, or frustrating was it to be the first guy in the line with that draft?
Well, it was very helpful to undercut at a track like this, just because you get so much draft, you don't have to push necessarily as hard as you can to hang with a person. So you could just kind of hang on their coattails, stay within a second. And I don't think it's that frustrating to be in the lead either. It's just you got to make sure that you don't get dive bombed, of course. But yeah, a pretty unique style of racing, especially for stock cars.
Before we let you go, Ethan, who do you have to thank on this win here tonight?
Of course, big shout out to Blue Egg Marketing for being a sponsor on the car. JD Designs for painting all these beautiful paints. The guys back at Lake Norman. You guys up in the booth for always putting on a great show. And Chad and everybody that runs the league. Big thanks to them.
There you have it. Congratulations, Ethan. We'll see you next time out here.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's Ethan Stanley, winner tonight. Chris, there you heard it from him. Man, I can't imagine. I mean, I can't imagine because I'm bad at road course racing, but just the ability to manage that tire situation, even as guys were passing him there. I mean, that just shows the discipline of Ethan Stanley and his ability when we go to these road courses here in Elite.
Yeah, and you know, when I come to a road course, I'm not managing tires. I'm just trying to stay on the track. If I can stay on the pavement, man, it's a positive.
Amen to that. As you see the results on the screen here, Ethan Stanley, David Tooker, Tate Lytle, Tyler Fody, Seth Rawls, your top 5. Hunter Smith 6, Ethan Burrell 7th, Justin Wadsworth 8, Scott Crump 9th, Jared Rexing. Of course, we saw him, one of the last guys to come to pit road. He gets into the top 10 at the end of the night. Chad Frankenfield 11th, Jesse Racimus 12th, William White coming home 13th, Leighton Norgard 14th, Joe Francis 15th, Ty McIntosh 16th, Dave Carpenter, last car on the lead lap in the 17th position, Mark Rebilas 18th, Connor Thompson 19th, Michael Goodman rounding out the top 20, Gavin Higgins, Carlos Acosta, Corey Abbott, Michael Hossack, Andrew Hardcastle, Nick Indelicato, Jay Connor, Brian Carrington. The rest of your finishing order tonight. That, I believe, pretty much does it here for us at Daytona. Of course, plenty of racing still to come over the next week or so here on the Elite Racing Network. Tomorrow night, back in action, Pit Pass Network ARCA Series at Michigan. That promises to be a good one. Michigan never disappoints. Wednesday night, Belly Up Sports Cup Series will be at Martinsville for 250 laps. I'll be on the call on that one alongside David Westergreen. Thursday night will be qualifying for the Warriors for Peace IndyCar Series Indy 500. That'll take place on October 17th. The race will. Next time out for the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series next Monday night, Kansas Speedway, 100 laps. Hopefully Robert will be healthier than a stone, and you won't have to deal with me. You'll be back to your normal booth of Robert and Chris next week. Chris, what do we have to say about Kansas? I know that's always a fan or a driver favorite. How is it for the broadcasters?
Well, the broadcast likes a lot of green flag racing, a lot of good racing, some green flag stops, and Kansas typically delivers. We had no cautions out here tonight. We'll probably get some at Kansas, and I'm sure that there are about 25 or 30 waiting for us on Wednesday night at Martinsville. So should be an exciting week of the yellow flag here on Wednesday night. Hopefully I'm wrong. I would love to be proven wrong, but we'll see what happens on Wednesday. But it was great working with you tonight, Zach. And like you mentioned, if Robert's not back, we'll run it back again next week at Kansas.
Well, hopefully Robert is back. You will get back to your dynamic duo here in the Monday night booth, and I'll go get to finish 27th or whatever the case may be next Monday night at Kansas. But if not, maybe you'll hear from me again. We'll see. Obviously, I'd rather Robert be able to speak again. But anyways, that's enough of us for tonight. On behalf of Chris Wright, Robert Hill producing tonight, I was Zach Evans. Thank you for watching tonight. The numbers by Joe 120. Congratulations to Ethan Stanley on the win, and we'll see you next Monday night.